Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic. Okay, there we go. Got a little technical difficulties this morning. All right, so we here, we here. All right, Queen in the building, boss lady in the building. What's going on with y'all? Shout out to you, shout out to you. All right, so we back at it again. Now, the biggest thing, it's an old saying: give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. If you teach a man to fish, Lisa J in the building. Lisa J. I gotta go back and check out your video yesterday, Lisa. I was trying to check it out. I actually subbed to that dude Prez. Got a little sidetrack, of course, holiday thing. And gotta go back and check out that video. But like they say, the old saying is you give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. You teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And that goes into this thumbnail where it says you buy a man a fish. You know, even though the wording is changed and stuff, the still means the same. When it comes down to it, a lot of times, no problem. A lot of times, we get caught up in the minute things of wording and stuff like that. We get caught up in, the difference between this parable and that. But the biggest thing is, did you get the message? Joy, what's going on? I just seen you live over there. I hopped over there a little bit before I came over here. Nice to see you. But when it comes down to it, a lot of times we miss the message. You're so caught up on the wording, you're so caught up on how the looks of things are, you're actually missing the message. And the message is pretty much quite simple when it comes to a lot of times. We sit here and the message is the message. Teaching someone versus giving somebody something. You know, I can give you some information and you don't know what to do with it or handle it well. That information just in and out. But if I teach you something and you learn it, that implements the change in your life to where you can keep providing, keep providing. Bronze, what's going on with you? And a lot of times that's what we fall short at, where people are given the information and no one's not taking it serious or doing anything with it. So that's why when it comes down to it, the message isn't received. Therefore, you haven't learned anything in the process of growth. Yesterday I was explaining my son the difference between gap insurance and car insurance. Well, gap coverage and car insurance. And I kind of equated it to life insurance and the difference between life insurance and health insurance. you know. And I kind of spent it to where it be similar so he can grasp that concept. But it was the whole thing of me breaking it down to him to where he could kind of understand it to a degree. Because most of the time, these young kids, they just don't get it. They don't understand. They're young. They're playing. They have their mental ways of learning and doing things. So just speaking into him and just layman's term, the basic breakdown, if he can get it, I break it down even further. Hey, what's the difference between one pencil, two pencil? As simple as you can get it to have somebody understand. That's more or less when it comes down to it. If you're able to break something down to somebody in the most simplest of form, then you're able to express that to them so they can actually learn. And in most cases, that's the biggest issue with most people that are not learning because, it hasn't been broken down to them to where they can understand it. In most cases, like I say, far as money, a lot of people haven't been taught money well. So that's why they have the issue with money, you know, learning how to, invest. If you haven't been taught it well, you're just going to stay away from it. And that's the most of the time where people, tend to, follow the herd. If everybody's buying stocks and they say Nike is the best fit, they're going to go buy stocks in Nike. Personally, buy what you like. If you buy Nikes, then invest in Nike. If you buy other brands, invest in those other brands because you buy it. That's one level way of doing it. Prime investing. Try to learn it. If there's a lot of people to a degree. You're not technically born smart. You learn over time to be smart. So just like with that, you learn, what is your best options when you're buying stocks, when you're looking about investments. Do your research. You know, hey, one person in the chat right now, Lisa J. Hey, just going through the process of watching videos, you start to develop an understanding of okay, this is how stocks work. This is what the returns on the stocks are. Learning about the losses as well because everybody shows you the glory. You know, there's an old saying as well. They say everybody loves the baby when the baby's born, but don't nobody want the birth pains. You know, Nobody wants to look, oh man, how bad that woman had that child with birth pains. But at the same time, the baby's cute. Oh, this nice baby. It comes with it, the highs and the lows. When you're investing and learning about money, you should learn all angles, not just the wins, but the shortcomings and the losses as well. That's the key to make somebody be a good investor because if you learn about the pitfalls, learning how you put your money in the wrong place, it can actually potentially leave you broke with nothing. Then you have a greater understanding. You know what you're getting yourself into. You're to the point where, hey, this is not going to affect me because why? I'm already, learned about this. I knew this was coming. I knew that was coming. So I'm expecting the changes. I'm expecting this was going to happen. So, some people can be triggered by it, but at the same time, this is the thing that's needed for a lot of us to have an understanding about a lot of things that going on in our lives. You know, a lot of us don't have that understanding because, hey, when it boils down to it, we are not taught well. And, you know, trying to seek the knowledge and have that understanding, a lot of us don't get it because, depends on the teacher. But the point of it is, there's no reason for you to stop learning. In most cases, a lot of times when you're learning something difficult and hard, prime example, let's take it for kids back in elementary that, had to learn their timetable. Something simple as doing your timetables is strenuous to something that for someone that's really bad in math or not that good in math. So it tends to, throw them for a loop. They have issues with it all the way around. But the biggest point of them learning and how to do the math is them studying, always trying to find out different ways. Because with everything, there's a trick and a trade to actually getting stuff done to making stuff better. So it's just all about you learning the best way to teach yourself or learning the best method so you can be taught better. You know, Cool Gamer, what's going on with you? And a lot of times, that's our biggest issue coming into a situation, not knowing, and then we get to the point of, I just want to give up. Everybody's given some level of learning about money, and it's just pretty much up to you what you're going to do at that level of thinking, that level of doing, because April showers, morning to you. A lot of us, we just simple come with the basics, simple basics. Hey, start off, got a job, learn your position at your job, or you have any financial, money coming in, learning, start off with a budget. The basics, starting off with a budget, knowing that you have a budget and say, well, I'm gonna have a budget for these are my bills. These are going to be my investments. These are going to be some towards my savings. You know, you want to make sure you're informed. And that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't grasp that concept about being informed. So they technically lose out. You know, when you're not informed about just the basics of things, you kind of start losing out. And, you know, when it comes down to it, hey, it's going to be a burden. You know, a lot of people tend to lose out on information because, hey, they don't put themselves around people that can teach them. You know, if you're not interested, you're not going to learn about it. One of the biggest things with financial gains, a lot of people fail to realize is a lot of this stuff is boring. But when you begin to learn certain things that pique your interest, you get fascinated about it to the point where you're actually learning, and it's more interesting to you. Prime example, I was listening to a podcast where this lady was talking about mental health and healing yourself. She was like, mentally getting over burdens and things of that nature. She was like, it's not easy. Do you ever think that most people who are marine biologists just, went into that field? It was something that they start liking and having a passion for. So technically speaking, everybody has a passion of, money, but it's just the point of view learning to deal to make that money more, to make it less by any means. Like I said, you gotta learn the good and the bad of every situation. Then you know how to approach it or come at it. That's the biggest issue with most people. One track mind, you're only gonna learn it this way, you're not learning no other way. Hey, then you're stuck in this, cycle that which you can't get out of, and you're trying to figure out why. Sorry about that. A call come in. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's just plain and simple, man. Doing the math, learning things, it takes time. Everybody's not born to a degree of learning something with a passion so well. So they technically have to learn, you know, above all else, learning the process, learning about how to invest in stocks, learning about how to save your money, learning about the budget. That's the whole way that you're able to, as the parable say, learn how to fish versus someone buying you something. You know, if I give you $10 the next day and I give you $10 the next day, you're gonna depend on me for that money. But if I technically, you know, get to the point of, excuse me, if I technically get to the point of saying, hey, instead of giving this person this money all the time, I'm gonna let them earn the money, or I'm gonna get to a point of which they, have the potential of making this money for themselves. I'm gonna go ahead, set some up, teach them how to do this, so they can get $10 a day for themselves. I don't have to constantly give them the $10. They can get the $10 on their own. And it starts with, the point of, you learning and wanting this information. You know, um, you have all these different videos online where these gurus and they tell you, hey man, I can show you how to do this. Hey man, I can give you this information. Hey man, I can teach you this. And when it comes down to it, quiet as kept, it's literally up to you if you want to learn this information, if you want to seek this knowledge. And when it comes down to it, a lot of us, we say, hey, well, this might not be a bad thing. Let me give it a try, you know, because it gets to a point if you keep hearing these things over and over and over, what are they talking about? Let me see what they're talking about. Let me see how to inform my life. Let me see how to make this better because it's getting to a point where I really want to learn something. I really want to know something. You know, I keep hearing about these people talking about money. I wonder how is this money going to affect me? I wonder how is this money going to help me out? And it gets to a point where, hey, I really want to invest. And my phone keep dropping. It comes to a point where you start saying, I don't know these things. It's hard on me. Yeah, my phone technical difficulties. It's been like that since I started this screen. Yeah, but it comes to a point where you say, hey, I don't know these things. I'm not going to get to the point of, advancing. So this is kind of weird for me. But over time, you just practice makes perfect. You know, prime example. Started off, like I said, with a budget. You having a budget is the key. Is the key for you to start off all your money problems, all the if issues that you have or dealing with money. Start off simply as just starting with a budget. Taking your income or whatever money that you make, write it down, write your bills down. When you actually see it in front of you, then you start having an understanding. Prime example, looking at your bank account. Most people don't look at their statements as much, and I've learned this over time as well. There's a lot of stuff on statements that people really don't pay attention to till it's too late. There was a point where I was getting charged for a service. Prime example, it was like what was it? The developing logos. I think I signed up 15. I think it was $15. It start off something small like $15, and they have those little promotions. And after the promotion goes, that's when you pay the original price, like $30 a month. If you have so much money coming in your account, going out of your account, and you're not paying attention, that can easily slip your mind. You know, there's plenty of times I've done that to where I sit there and get, you know, just a subscription to something, not paying attention. Next thing I know, I'm paying all this money for a subscription that I don't even use. You know, I end up buying a course one time for a drone, and I was like, well, this would be a good course for flying drones for me and my boys because I have a couple of drones. They're relatively small that I don't have to get registered, and so I'm like, hey, it's not a problem. Next thing I know, got the course, did the first week or so with it, but after that, never really used it. So what was the purpose of me getting this course and I'm wasting my money, not even using it? And a lot of times we have issues like that, buying stuff, getting stuff for ourselves and not even using it. So technically as a speak, we're just, burning money. And when it comes down to it, nobody wants to burn money. So hey, what I had to do. Had to sit down and, deal with that course. But at the same time, though, like I told my wife, I was like, this was something I was interested in at the time. So at the time, I was interested in it. So when it came down to me just to, level off and just do the course, I was stuck doing other stuff, and it gets to a point like that where most people are doing that. You're buying things, you're not using them. Let's say for women that buy purses, they buy a lot of purses. You can't wear every single purse. So it comes to times where you have to wear this purse this day, wear this purse the next day. Same applies with the situation of men. Men like to buy a lot of sneakers or suits or things of that nature. When it comes down to it, you're not going to be able to wear all this stuff at one time. You know, there's going to be some sacrifices made when you buy certain things. Certain things a little bit more expensive than others. Um, Prime example, things for your car. I remember one of my friends, he was getting this, I think it was a cold start intake for his car. He literally spent, um, no, I think his wife bought it for him. His wife bought him a $1,200 coat versus a $500 cold intake. The jacket was nice, but he wanted the intake because he actually got her what she wanted, but she just thought that the jacket would be a little more fitting for him, it's nicer. And he was like, the jacket is cool. I don't mind the jacket, but I wanted something for my car. And overall, Tamika, what's going on? How you doing? It got to a point of them arguing over, the price of the jacket versus the price of, the intake. And when it came down to it, it was a literal thing that, hey, he really wanted that part for his car more than he wanted the jacket. Excuse me. So it turned into a big old debate, and in the end, you know, she ended up just getting him the part and letting him keep the jacket, which he had no intentions, if anything, just take the jacket back because even though it's a nice jacket, like he was saying, more or less, he would get more use out of the car part, and it was a big old debate about that. And, like I said, within the budget realm of their gift giving, it was in that budget realm. But she gave a little extra to say, well, I think this will suit you better. So, hey, needless to say, you know, can't tell anybody how to spend their money. That's what I always say. But, overall, sticking to a budget is key. Like I said, I'm gonna keep going back to it. Hovering over it. When you teach a man to fish, you know, he'll live. He'll live off that money. He'll work. Same thing with a trade. A lot of times, people, there's nothing wrong with going to a 4-year university or college, but same applies with a trade. Someone teaches a basic trade, you can move with that for a lifetime. You know, Prime example with me, I've got into the industry of a trade in plumbing. So the worst thing about plumbing is dealing with toilets and crap. But the best thing with me is just installing, sinks, valves, running the plumbing when it's not, used yet, or doing some other things. Like that's just gold for me. You know, able to find something that I can, do on the side, dealing with my family and making everything work to a degree that most people, you know, their their happiness is, sheltered around them actually, going and getting this education, going to a college, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Have a degree. Most go into in default with loans, most don't, but it all depends on your preference. But to me, more or less, if college isn't for you, then taking a trade. And there are some trades that like I say with me dealing with that, going into it, being an electrician, being a carpenter. More I'm on the lines of home improvement than anything, but you know, learning this trade has, always kept me to a point of making money. Same applies with having a pickup truck. I once was a little kid and I always heard this growing up that if you had a pickup truck, you always had money. Pickup trucks are money makers. So me approaching the age of 28 or so, I ended up buying my first pickup truck. Never looked back. When it came down to it, having that pickup truck was a good investment. I've always had jobs that I can depend on, small jobs of picking things up, because more or less everybody wants to move something. How many times I got people like just coming out of Best Buy. The TV's too big to fit in a car. I mean, quiet as kept. Who sticks a 80, 85 inch or 86-inch TV in a Honda Civic? It's not going. Only way you'll put it on the roof and strap it down. But then how you gonna strap it down with no luggage racks? So it gets to a point where having that truck is good. I seen one person was renovating their home and they end up going to U-Haul, getting a small U-Haul truck, and they loaded up. I think it was four 75-inch TVs. Like like I said, having that truck always kept me money. Just learning the trade always kept money in my pocket as well. So when it comes down to it, a lot of times we have the conversations about, teaching and learning and budgeting. These are the keys. You know, let's say someone taught you coding. Prime example, like my oldest son. He's into coding. He got into it, started learning different things. talking to different people, and when it comes down to it, if he goes out there, do a couple of things for people, sites and things of that nature, good for him. You know, some small trade that he learned actually sparked up for him to make some money. Hey, that's always a great thing. And it comes down to it, like I said, he's learning something that can, potentially push him towards the future with, you know, astronomical money, because once you get into coding, you start learning other data analysts and all these other things. So, when I talk to my son, I say, well, basically just keep going. The more you learn, the better off you'll be, because it won't hurt you to learn, to get into computer engineering or something like that. You know, a lot of times we learn the small, minute things which become big over time to where we can, advance our knowledge to more things, you know. And I always tell people I'm not just going to stop with one thing. That's why I say, well, home improvement for me, because I do a little electric work, but I really don't like touching a lot of times too much with the electrical side of things. But hey, if it grants me money, then so be it. Same rule applies for the carpentry work. If I put in a door, put in a window, certain things I'm YouTube University certified, but then other things I learn or just pass down, and that's the key. A lot of times nobody's getting to the point where they're learning this stuff and passing it down to the kids, or they're learning these things and the kids don't want to learn it because hey, it's not their style. That's not their wave. So they're not focused on it. When it comes down to it, a lot of times these where the trades get lost. You have family secrets. You have um, business upon business started through families. Bunny Rose, what's going on with you? You have business and business upon family that learn trades and pass them down to each other. Prime example with me, um, my granddaddy, he learned the trade of welding. His brothers, all them learned from their dad, and it was, I guess it was passed down from them as well. So with welding, I learned a little bit of myself. I have a welder at home, which my older brother teaches me a little bit of stuff, but I learned the basics when I was young. Excuse me. I learned the basics in high school. And in high school, I learned the basics of, pretty much tack welding and things of that nature to the point where, hey, when it comes down to it, these little small things that I want to learn and do, hey, I, I can do them easily. You know, I learned it. It's a trade that won't go away. I might get a little rusty at doing things, but the trade won't go away. You know, same thing, but like I say, approaching the situation of a budget and math and all this stuff. Once you learn how to budget, even though you mess up, you know how to make corrections. Even though you do things wrong, you understand the faults and you know how to make it right. That's the whole thing, with teaching someone how to fish versus you just giving it to them. Like I said, even if I give someone $10 a day, they're coming with the aspect of I got $10. I just keep asking that person for $10. They give it to me every day, but to a point if you teach them how to make that $10 a day or more, then they have a level mind to say, well, this that I'm learning, I could, multiply this even better to where versus making $10 a day, hey, I can make $100 a day. I can invest in this. You start learning ways of doing it. That's the whole purpose of, you teaching. The point of it is an old parable saying that recreating the wheel is not the wheel is being recreated. It's just another level, another way of doing something in which you already know to make it better. Prime example, when you the issue with tires, rims, they have padding now. They have inflatables that help your tires. As far as run flats, that you can drive 100 miles on a flat tire or 50 miles on a flat tire. That's what the run flat's designed for. You know, every time you have a signature thing like a car is always being elevated to from the point of you having a regular Chevy to now you having the Teslas with autonomous mode driving for you. So, like I said, over time, everything's developed, everything's added more. Same approach to your money, just, making it a little bit better for yourself, learning how to, advance yourself with, hey, maybe I need to invest in this. Hey, maybe I need to overall learn this. It's the same approach, going into the aspect of learning about money. Hey, it only gonna make you better. And at the same time, devoting yourself into learning more about money, learning situations that make things better. Hey, like I said, it's an overtime experience. Rome wasn't built in a day. The more you learn about your money, the more you learn about your finance, it gets you to a point where you initially what? Get better with it, you know, to the point of me studying how to invest in stock options is a greater, reward, but it comes with a risk versus just investing into regular stocks. Stock options pay more money out. It's quick and fast money, but everything that has fast money has a risk. Same approach to stocks. If I'm going to invest in stocks, the long term is investing in ETFs, you know, and just having the know how. In my opinion, ETFs are like the best thing to invest in, and they're pretty much along the lines of close to being the safest. Nothing is 100% guaranteed, but the point of it is, like I always say, do your research, you know, even when I talk about life insurance, life insurance has its pitfalls. Most companies, they technically pay out, but, it's to a degree, they always looking for the out. So to a point of people lying on their applications about drinking and smoking and other things. Um, one of the issues, like Alonzo said, excuse me, they had a person that applied who didn't have, um, who had cancer, and they beat it, but in the application it said, "Have you ever had cancer?" And they marked no. So they're not, getting life insurance due to something that was a mistake in their part, which they said, but technically on paper it was a lie, you know. But like I said, learning that aspect of life insurance, you're able to budget your money, know what you have for your family and also for yourself. There's a point of which you can borrow money off your life insurance, you know. Like they say there's death insurance for a reason. You literally have insurance for your death. Then you have life insurance for life. So more or less, a lot of times people, go through their ups and downs situations and trying to figure out, things to make their lives better. Like I said, just keep going back to it, taking it one day at a time. Learn something new, be positive about it, going into the aspect of you learning about budgeting, excuse me, and then focusing on the next go round, learning the aspect of, being better at your money. A lot of times people fall short of that. So when it comes down to it, it's up to you literally to make things right, get things going. And I'm about to get ready to get off of you. Needless to say, when it comes down to your budget, when it comes down to your money, always go to the aspect of learning, trying to figure things out. Nobody's born to a degree of knowing everything. It takes time. Once you start learning the aspect of money, trying to figure things out, you develop your mind to have a set of, pretty much in some type of agreements to say, hey, I want to figure this out. I don't want to default on it. I actually want to do better for myself. I actually want to, make myself into this and I make myself into that. So, needless to say, when it comes down to it, you have a better understanding. Once again, you always know what I say when I get off of here. Shout out to everybody coming to the building. Hit that like button if you haven't hit that like button when you jump off. Once again, we here and we go. Peace.